Okay. Hey, everybody. Hey, how's everybody doing? Long time no see. Got the birds here. Hi, how are you? So, yes, I'm in my PJs, so judge me if you want to. They're squirrels. Got them from Nordstrom's, so whatever. So, anyhow, all right, guys, so basically, what I was going to go over today is just sort of like, Caesar. I was going to go over like general questions, right? I basically took a compilation of questions that everybody sent to me, or I should say like, I don't know, 20 people sent to me. I sort of compiled them together. And I have 7 questions, and then after I finish those, if we still have time, I'll open them up, okay? And then I've already started, like, based on the questions that you guys gave me, jotting down ideas for the next Mondays, and we'll just sort of go from there. If this gets, back to being as popular as it was before, I will do them weekly. Otherwise, I can space it out, do it every couple weeks, just sort of what everybody wants kind of deal. So anyhow, we're going to start with the first question, and I won't say who they're from just because a lot of people ask the same question, or, something along those lines. Sorry, my bird's going down my shirt right now to make it awkward. I don't know. Let's keep it PG. So, the first question is, what do I do with a fresh off-the-track thoroughbred? So, basically that's a job for my mom. She's a OG when it comes to my thoroughbreds. She finds them, she sources them, she's amazing. But basically what she does and what I've learned from my mom is when we get a horse off the track, most of the time, it depends on how fresh they are off the track. Some of them, if they still have, the steroids in their system, a lot of them will give them some downtime. Excuse me, there's no fighting on your mother. Sorry. Yes, we're keeping it PJ, apparently, exactly. So anyhow, excuse my birds. So when we get a horse off the track, usually we give them a couple of weeks off, maybe even a month. It just depends on how neurotic the horse is, how thin they are. Introducing them to turnout is huge. A lot of these horses have been confined, to their stalls. And so, introducing them to turnout, introducing them to new horses. And then the first thing my mom does is actually puts them onto trails, right? So she gets the horses. Elmo, you're being very naughty. Sorry, guys. My birds are causing distractions today. So she takes the horses on trail rides. Back when she lived in Northern California, she had the Tevis Cup Trail to work the horses on. Hush. And, all right. Let's see if this makes them hush up. Excuse me. Otherwise, they're going to go back in. And so the horses learned that instead of being confined to an arena, from being off the track, that they had to sort of depend on her, on the trails, like crossing footbridges, going over little ditches. Everything was natural. So, and that sort of goes hand in hand with how we start horses over jumps. So a lot of our horses, we start with, over like logs, like cross-country schooling. So I would much prefer start a horse jumping over logs, something that's natural, than over show jumps. Because to me, I think the logs are a lot more inviting. So anyhow, going back to restarting a thoroughbred, basically doing a ton of work outside of the arena trails, teaching them what the leg is, because up until now, or up until when you get them, they have no idea what the leg is. They've had jockeys sort of on their backs, but no leg on them for, their career, which has been anywhere from nothing to some horses stay on the track for 7 years. And don't understand what the weight of a seat is. And so you sort of have to train them to using your seat as an aid to slow down and an aid to hasten in their pace, and to teach them what the leg means, right? Putting your leg on. Some of them will run away from that leg. Some of them won't do anything. And so, a lot of people fall into the trap of putting gadgets on them and, putting a bigger bit when they're just sort of skipping the training. So, sorry, that was a really distracted answer, but Elmo here is to blame. He's being very naughty. So, that's sort of the answer to that question. Lots of trail work. And then you follow with, I use a lot of loose ring snaffles. I should really take a picture of my bit rack that I have because it's really every kind of snaffle that you want to see. There's very minimal big bits because I'm a true believer if I have to put a horse in a stronger bit, then I'm skipping something in my training program. So, and now again, every now and then there's a horse that truly needs that bit. And maybe I might need a larger bit to try to get a training aid through in hopes of moving back down to a snaffle bit or a form like a snaffle. Barney, excuse me. I truly feel that if your horse can't go in a snaffle or a softer bit, even my pure dressage horses, even the ones that show in doubles, are ridden in simple bridles, snaffles. Oh no. They need to always go back to their simples, and again, it just shows the training that you put into your horses. So, and that's a good question. Any questions that I don't get to today? Please feel free to text me on direct message, and I will work on incorporating them into my lives or just answering directly. A lot of you guys I've already answered directly because I wasn't going to cover that today. So yeah, and if I felt like I didn't do a good enough job, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm new to this, even though I'm not. I'm a little distracted. The birds are being brats right now. Okay, so the second question was how do you make your way to top level eventing without a lot of money? So, okay, I never came from a very wealthy family, but I was very lucky to have my father, pay my way through school, right? I know a lot of people aren't as lucky. They've got financial aid and the whole bit. So, sort of middle class, right? But I will say none of my horses were over $1,500 getting them, and some of them were free. So there's always a way, right? So I know it sounds cliche, but if you have the dream and it's not just about the talent, you guys, it's about the work ethic. If you have the work ethic, I think the work ethic actually stands for more than the talent because I feel like I'm one of those people. I think if you work hard enough that you can achieve almost anything. And yes, money does help. I feel like if I had, millions of dollars behind me, I'd probably have another 4-star horse, going next year, as we all do, but that's horses. And I truly feel it's a lot more beneficial to bring my horses up from the racetrack or restarting them or my homebreds than buying one. Although I wouldn't ever turn down if anybody's got a 4-star horse they don't want, send it my way. But you know what I'm saying. It's a lot more, when you cross the finish lines and you've brought your horses all the way to the top, it's very rewarding. So how do we do it without a lot of money? My biggest thing that I would say would be to start doing I don't know how old you are, whoever asked this question. A couple of people actually asked me a question or something along those lines. Would be to find a local trainer in your area who you respect and get to know how they do things, right? And that's how I started. When I was young, I used to ride with a hunter jumper. Did a lot of hunters that I failed miserably at doing. My pony stopped. I rode too aggressively. It was never good at leaning forward, or just looking very pretty in the tack. So my biggest piece of advice would be go work for somebody. And if you're in school, then do a summer job, do an internship. If you're old enough to drive, a working student program, and if you got enough experience, I would say a working student program for a top rider, a 4-star rider, only if you have the prerequisites, like if you can drive, if you've ridden to a certain level. Some people, I know with my kids, I don't really care what your skill level is, because I've taken riders from beginner novice to, riders that have competed at prelim. or above. It doesn't really matter about that. It's just got to be your work ethic. And I know personally all the 4-star riders in this country and many of them outside of our country, and you have to be able to work really, really, really hard. If you have any way to go and work abroad over in England for any of the riders there, to be able to experience that, you don't need to bring a horse, just to experience that and watch the riding there. God, please do it. Do it for me. I would love to do it. My goal is when I get a large enough arsenal of horses in the dressage and the eventing to be able to spend a summer over there like Hannah did, and do that once every couple of years. So what else? So my biggest thing would be, what I did was when I was very young, I worked for Jimmy Wofford for some time, and then I worked for Stephen Bradley. I was still in high school, so during the summertime, and then I went to horse shows with him, and then I worked for Philip Dutton back when Will Fawdry was there. Who else was there? I can't remember who else was there, but Will Fawdry and I became good friends there, and then I worked for Buck. And what was great about working for so many different people was I was able to take little bits and pieces through everybody's program and make my own program today. And it's been a process in the making, but I've been going advanced level I should say I turned pro since I was 18. And I'm 33 years old, turning 34 in a month. So I would say, it's been a long time of creating my program, which is still, I'm always learning, and enjoying the process. And that's how you do it, right? Like, it doesn't take millions of dollars to get there. It takes millions of hours. And there is a famous rule called the 10,000 hour rule in a book called, was it Outliers, written by Malcolm Gladwell. Highly suggest it if you guys have time to read an extra book. I know a lot of you are in school and don't have time, but you should definitely check it out. And the 10,000 hour rule is by the 10,000th hour, you should be a professional whatever you do. And I don't know how many hours I've done, but I'm pretty sure it's over 10,000 hours. So again, find your closest rider. Start from the ground up. The same thing with sponsorships. It's never too soon, guys, to start asking your local tack shop. That's what I did. My very first sponsorship, I was getting ready. I was doing, I think, Young Riders 2-star and Thin Line. I talked to Thin Line about, hey, what's the worst I can say is no, right? No one cares. I don't care if someone says no to me. Still to this day, if I want something, I'll go up and ask them to sponsor. Hey, I really love your product. I use it. I will represent it well, and what's the worst they say? And I still get turned down, right? So don't feel bad if you get turned down, but only one place to start is to go and ask. And I created a little portfolio of what my goals were, for that year, for that season. What my 5-year plan was, obviously Olympics, grandeur, world domination. And some people chose to jump on board and some didn't. And the rest is history. So definitely find somebody who you really respect in your area. Once you get enough experience under that person, and you feel like you need more, find a 4-star rider, or a top rider in whatever discipline, a top FEI rider, a Grand Prix rider, a jumper rider, and go work for them and see what their program's like. See how it is really hard to maintain top level horses. And I know a lot of you guys, if you've not been around, if you don't get to go to the back of the barns at Rolex, those grooms are up all night getting those horses ready and fit for the final trot up on Sunday. And it's not because you're hiding anything. It's because it takes many years to get the horses to that level. And so of course they're going to have lumps and bumps, just like we all do. And it takes a village to get these horses and their riders to the top level. And it really makes you appreciate it when you get there. So, okay. Next question was from a girl that has a novice horse, and she wanted to ask me about what she should do for conditioning. I'm going to touch upon that. I already have what I'm going to talk about for the following Monday, which I'll put out later this week. But I'll touch upon that right now. So basically, I'm going to touch upon that by using myself or my horses in the example. So basically my horses had this past almost week off. It wasn't quite the week, but almost the week off because it was the cold spell. I mean, it was negative degrees here. And I know my northerners up north, Karina, my Minnesotans and my Wisconsins and all those people up north in the really negative degree temperature, whatever, were probably not feeling that sorry for us, but I'm sorry. I have not had to experience negative like 2 degrees and I was not feeling it. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to come right out and say it. I didn't want to ride. Sorry guys, didn't want to ride. So we cleaned stalls all day and took breaks in the heated tack room and cleaned more stalls and put the horses back up and we're like, peace out, deuces. And the horses were happy for it. So today was the first day back to riding. And don't start. Today was the first day back to riding, so we started with lunging today. And I don't know if anybody saw my Snapchat or my story on Facebook or Instagram. Excuse my birds. Okay. Just everybody quiet. So you noticed that I had a surcingle on one horse, and then the rest of my horses didn't have any surcingles. They free lunged. So they had a bridle on, but with no free lunging, and Al was very saucy. I just wanted to show everybody, like, I showed my groom, Lauren Cheryl, who worked for Tammy Smith now in California. I remember she and I just spending hours, especially Lauren, like that girl spent hours. I mean, I credit Al's soundness through Burley and through Rolexes and AECs to Lauren. She was amazing. But he hasn't been ice. I mean, Al is the ice man. Like, he lives on ice because he's 19 and he's done, 8, 9 4-stars. And he hasn't been iced in months. And I just brought him out today. And now he's been in a fair amount of work, but he had the week off and took him and free lunged him. And he was like, I've never seen him so sad. I almost want to take him out of retirement. So I thought that was kind of funny. But anyhow, I digress. All my horses are starting back up. So even if the horses have like a week off, no, they don't lose endurance fitness, but their muscles are cold. Their muscles haven't been used. You don't want to just start getting on and pounding on them, right? So what we do is I do a lunge day, a free lunge day. And what that does is that the free lunge without any sort of contraptions encourages the horses to stretch down. Now, one of my horses, his name's Mowgli. He's Juliet Clark's horse, who's in for training. Wasn't familiar with understanding how to stretch on the lunge without use of side reins. Very familiar with lunging, but didn't understand the whole theory of really using his back. And it's a trained thing, guys. So if your horse is on the lunge and doesn't offer the stretch, a couple things. A, you might be lunging them incorrectly, or B, it starts from your flat work, right? Maybe there's something you're missing in your flat work, i.e. stretching. So what you want to do to teach them that, a ton of transitions on the lunge, and you might not even get to canter, because if they're sporadic and flexing to the outside and they're hightailing around, then it's not even worth cantering. You just want to walk and trot. And so we do a ton of transitions. Walk, trot, trot, walk, spiraling in the circle until it gets about like 8 meters. The horse is flexed in. You push them out with your voice clucking and with a little tap, not on their bum, but with the dressage whip, or excuse me, the lunge whip. And then once you feel like they're in the contact, little squeezes with your fingers, right? Like you would your inside rein, you soften it and you allow the circle out and you push them forward, and in theory they should stretch. So, and that's what my horses did today. Just get it really warming up their back muscles. All mine were able to canter today. Mowgli actually stretched at the end of it, which was really rewarding for me. And tomorrow, for most of my horses, not all of them, but for most of them, we will incorporate the surcingle. So today we did free lunge without surcingle. Karina, you're getting a lunge lesson this weekend, kid. So you better be paying attention to this because I'm going to quiz you. You hush. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Let me go back to, and tomorrow, we're going to do surcingle lunge. So the surcingle, again, and I'll probably Instagram it so that you guys can see exactly where we connect the side reins, because every horse is different. Every horse is something they need to work on. Depends on if a horse has a contact issue, if a horse wants to go too low, if a horse wants to be too high in his head carriage. And also, it's really interesting on where you connect the lunge line. And I've learned a ton from my dressage instructor, Radu Marcochi. He spent a year at the Spanish riding school in Vienna, and is a master lunging person, however you say that. Has taught me a ton. And the lunging, I can't say enough about it. So going back to the conditioning, I'm doing 2 days of lunging on my horses, and then on the 3rd and 4th day they'll do flat work, and the 5th day they'll do a trot set, 20 minutes for everybody, and on the 6th day they'll do a hack, and then they'll have the 7th day off. And so yeah, that's sort of, for your novice horse, depending on when, and again, I'm going to touch upon this great lengths next Monday, but depending on when your show schedule starts. So for instance, mine starts in March. I want my horses in peak condition for, not peak condition for a 3-day event at CCI, but for our horse trials. So they should be doing about 30-minute trot sets. I won't do any canter sets, but, they should be able to jump a 7-minute course, 5 to 7 minute course. They should be fit to do their dressage tests and so on and so forth. So they're going to begin starting that process now through 20-minute trot sets. I'll do usually 2 to 3 days of dressage, especially while we're sort of confined with the bad weather. And then the jumping, because my horses are not green in the jumping, they'll do 1 day a week at the most in the jumping. Some of my students' horses will do twice because I jump them once and my students will jump them. Or if there's an issue I need to work on with a horse, they'll jump twice. And then I always like for them to have a good hack day or a trail riding day, because I think it's good if it's all sort of mundane, tedious work, I feel like that makes unhappy horses. And the one thing I strive is to have very happy horses in my barn. So make sure you have fun with it, right? And always, the one thing that I always set out every single time I ride one of my horses, guys, is I set out, I have a goal in mind, right? So every time I get on Matisse, I have a goal. I'm going to work on my left flexion today. When I get on Comet, I'm going to work on my impulsion in my canter upward from the, to the left lead. Work on my flying change on Atlas, and Diego work on my Piaffe today, right? And it's going to change. It's going to vary. It's going to be, it's going to change daily. But always set your goals so that you don't underdo your work and you don't overdo your work. Because it's very easy to sort of, okay, I want more, and then you end up with a really tired and angry horse, and that doesn't really get anywhere, now does it? So yeah, so hope I answered that question. Next question I have is show plans for my current horses. So it's a good question, because I'm juggling now 3 FEI dressage. I've got more dressage horses than I do event horses, which is a little bit scary. But I've got dressage shows and eventing shows to sort of balance this year, and my clinics that I love to do. So my goals for this year, with working back from Tokyo, so I'm a really goal-oriented person. So my goal with Patrick is Tokyo, right? So although that's seems super far-fetched right now, considering he's only done a 1-star, that's my goal. So I work back from there, and I want him to be going solid 3-star level by 2019. And so my goal for this year would be to finish up this year at a 2-star, whether it's Fair Hill, which is considered a championship, or whether we go to Virginia, which I think is a softer, but still just as, very great 2-star. I don't think it's easy by any means, but a bit softer, just because I think of the atmosphere than Ocala or Fair Hill. So I would like to do a 2-star with him by the end of the year, yeah. So that's my plan with Patrick. Same with Comet. Probably end up doing a bit more dressage with Comet, and sort of, we didn't end our year as I'd hoped with him. Shh. Come over here, because when you get off mommy, then you're very loud and no one wants to hear screaming birds. And so those are sort of my guys. got to speak with Lena about whether DeBakey's coming back, because I'd like to get him and to do, back in his goal this year was to do training level. He's a rising 5-year-old, and shoot for the AECs with him. And then my big goal for my dressage horses is Devon this year, which is in the end of September. So working back from that, Atlas was amazing this year, and we exceeded by leaps and bounds where I thought we would go, and finished at the USDF championships in Lexington, Kentucky. Didn't win it. Didn't think we were going to win it, but we were like, third to last, but hey, third to last in the country at third level. Hey, not good enough, but whatever. I digress. I am hoping for him to go to Devon, probably at 4th level. The point of Devon is Diego, I'm hoping to go to Grand Prix this year, but he will, no matter what, at Devon compete at I1, because Devon's extremely hard. So you want to go with a level that your horses are really, really good at and really comfortable in. So I wouldn't want to move a horse up or have a horse that's new to the level at Devon, especially because I'm fairly new. I'm not a big name in dressage. You hush it right now. So I'm balancing the dressage horses. I've got Atlas, I've got Diego, I've got Matisse, and then I'm hoping that Aloha comes back, so I can do my first Grand Prix sooner than later, because Diego's still not confirmed in the ones or the Passage. And then Matisse will hopefully do 3rd level this year, and Atlas I'd like to start out at 4th level and then see if we get to St. George this year. And then 2 stars with Patrick and Comet, and we've got all of our homebreds coming out. Everybody's of age. Mom is riding Flex. He's not jumped yet. He's a 3-year-old this year, but he'll probably jump in the middle of the year, the little cross rails. And we'll start showing Peace, who's now a rising 4-year-old this year, and Raven, who's a 5-year-old. These are all homebreds of ours. So yeah, we've got to keep pretty busy. We're going to keep pretty busy. So I'm looking forward to that. Next one is, so I had a young girl. She's got her first show coming up, her first eventing show in February. And she asked me what items are things that she should pack for her first show that she can't miss. Okay. Excuse me, guys. My bird's extremely rude. I don't claim to think that they're cute, but they're rude. They're spoiled too. So items to pack for your first event are definitely your safety vest. You need that, right? Cross country, you need your safety vest. So definitely pack your safety vest. People are going to hate me for saying this, but the competitor in me, I always say optimum time watch, even though I don't know what level you're going. I'm assuming it's not prelim or training for your first event. And if it is, good luck, but it's probably not. So you probably won't have at your first event an optimum time, but I never think that it's too soon for my students to understand or try to understand, even if you don't understand, how to rate your pace. So I always say, whether or not that you are, that you have an optimum time, or if you're going for time, excuse me, there's no fighting, that it's great to have your optimum time watch, just so that you can know, okay, well, it took me this long to do this course. I trotted a lot of it, and you'll just sort of begin, the more you do it, the more you're going to gauge, just how fast you're going, right? That's called practice for you. So definitely the optimum time watch. I never, ever go to an event without my sticky spray. It's a real thing, okay? Sticky spray is my number one. I don't care if you left everything else. I have to have my sticky spray. And the more nervous I am, the more spray I put on my saddle. And poor Elise, poor Kelly, my mom, anybody that has ever had to clean any of my tack, because I am not a tack cleaner. I'm everything else, but I don't like to clean tack. They hate me because I put so much damn sticky spray on my boots, on my tack. It ends up on the horses sometimes because I'll be tightening up my girth and my boot hits the horse's fur, and oh my God, it's everywhere. But I love it, and so get some sport. It's either the sporty half spray or get the none finer sticky spray. You seriously will thank me. Need a penny holder. So most shows, there's hardly any old school shows that have the old pennies now that you wear for your number. So you're probably going to need a penny holder to put your number in, and you can order one from Bit of Britain, or you can go on the C4 belts, and they have John Sonkin started JS Penny, where you can completely customize your penny. So I have a red, white, and blue one with bling on it. I have a black one with bling on it, and they are so awesome. They're like $30, and great investment because you can personalize it, and just adds a little flair. Because why are we event riders, people? Is we can have our own colors, we can customize and live our lives on cross country through colors. Yeah, so that was totally corny. Don't forget your Back on Track bandages and wraps. I just say Back on Track because I love Back on Track. Whether or not I'm sponsored by them, I used it before I was sponsored by them. It was just icing on the cake that they decided to sponsor me, and it took me many years of hounding them before they agreed. So I wasn't just like, they didn't just approach me and say, hey, you're awesome. No, I was like, please, I want to talk about how amazing your products are, and I'm still going to do it anyway if you sponsor me or not. So make sure, because you always want to wrap your horse after a hard show, especially if it's a one day. But any of the days, right? Especially if they're stalled up, if they're not used to being in a stall. I always throw wraps on my horses if they're, at a proper 3-day event every night. Just prevents inflammation and can't hurt, right? Just adds support. Another thing that people might not think about, but pack safety pins, and the bigger safety pins, not the clothing pins, not the little teeny safety pins. And I use those for a number of things. So I use those safety pins, and a lot of them have like a safety thing, like a cover. So for if the pin were to like detach, it won't like stab you. And I use those to attach numbers to my saddle pads. I'm not one that likes to put my bridle number on my bridle or my breastplate. I like it looking clean and pretty, so I attach it to my saddle pad. And so that's what I use the safety pins for. At Rolex, then, Lauren would sew it on. But, for all my horse trials and my dressage shows, when time is of the essence, we just safety pin those little dudes on there, and they're good to go. So yeah, do that. Next thing, hairnet. A hairnet. People, we're not European, although I love my Europeans. Unless you're good as Sandra Osholt, I can't even say her last name, then you can wear your hair flying around in the wind. But at the shows, put your hair in a hairnet. I like to add a little bow for flair. It just makes it look so much nicer. Put a belt on, but yeah, a hairnet, please. It just adds some class to it. I don't care what level you go. I don't care what level I go. My horses always look like they're going to enter the ring at Rolex. Because if I take myself that seriously, then you assume that everybody else is going to take me seriously. Whether or not that actually happens, I don't know. But I know that when I see somebody in my clinic that looks like $1 million and doesn't require money, there's a big difference, right? I don't care about the newest tack or the newest boots. It's clean tack, a clean horse, a bang tail, a pulled mane. Okay, calm it. A hairnet, a belt, tucked in shirt. Those people have pride in what they do, right? And when you have pride in what you do, people take you seriously. So every time you step foot onto those showgrounds or in the tack or in front of a clinician, take pride in what you do. By the way, bright color for cross country, yeah, so that everybody can see you. Totally. Another thing, a ride safe bracelet. So as you know, with the rule change, you don't have to have an armband anymore. But you need some form of identification. So the ride safe bracelets are amazing. Again, you can get them fully customizable. I have an American flag one, weird, with bling, again, weird. Again, I wear it for all three phases. I even wear it at my dressage shows. And it has a little code on the back. What you do is when you get your ride safe bracelet, you go to the website, you plug in your information. So God forbid something were to happen, you get knocked out. The ambulance can just scan the little code on the back, and they have all your information. It's right there, and it stays up to date in the whole bit. So yeah, definitely pack that. If you're gonna go really ham, and Road ID I've heard too. I just promote Ride Safe because I know those guys and they're eventers, and I like to promote our sport. So I know Road ID is biking and everything. This is specifically for eventing people. So I would, if I'm going to shop somewhere for something, I do it with horse people because I like to promote my own kind of deal. If you want to get really cool with it at your first show, learn how to do some quarter marks. Right? Now, for those of you who don't know what quarter marks are, well, I can have Elise do a tutorial because I've taught her quarter marks and there's no looking back. So quarter marks are designs on the horse's butt. Now, I'm not talking about flowers, you guys. Now, I used to do that. I lived that life. My mom used to like shave in really cool designs on my pony's butt. But you have to get a proper quarter mark brush, okay? And they're not expensive, but they're really short bristled. They're sort of stiff bristled. And some show sheen, a little bit of water, and you create really cool like chevrons, shark's teeth, a sun, steps on the horse's butt, and it just adds a little flair. I have my logo that I put on my horse's butts, and I'm just being super extra right now, but you don't really need to do that for your first event, but I think it's kind of cool. I would do it for you if I was at a show. Okay, so yeah, that's what you need to pack for your first show. And again, if I'm missing anything, guys, right in here. I don't know what Heather said, or Karina and Heather are having a conversation. Excuse my students, you guys. They know not what they do. Okay, another question was my pre and my post cross country. Okay, 1 second. I got to put these birds away. It's too much. Too much. Too much. Just go live your life in your cage. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so my pre and my post cross country routines. So for me, my pre cross country routine as an athlete, I'm sure you guys are more interested in hearing what I do for when I prepare for things like Burley or Rolex as opposed to Seneca Valley. No disrespect to Seneca Valley, but it's more interesting to see what we do at more, high level events such as Rolex. So what I do is I usually walk my course the morning of. I like my mom to come with me so I can explain to her. She usually doesn't say one word. It's the only time my mom is totally silent. Bless her. But she usually doesn't say one word the whole time when I'm walking the course. She just sits there and lets me explain to her how I'm going to do the course, because it'll be like my 3rd and a half time walking it. And I just sort of explain to her what I'm doing. If I'm at like a 3-star or a 2-star, and I happen to walk it alone, I'll walk it alone, and I've got like a playlist. Anybody who has Apple Music, I have my playlist on there. It's hashtag LAE swag, lay swag. It's a great playlist, I have to say. But I usually have that on, and I'll listen to some tunes and just zone out so I can focus on my ride. Right before I ride, I like to play Candy Crush. And I'm not kidding you, Elmo. And so if it's all going really badly, I play, and I don't want to hear like how, I usually watch like 3 or 4 riders that I really respect. And I watch them ride there's always a combination or 2 or 3 that I'm pretty nervous about. And so, I usually watch them ride the combination, and if it's all gone badly, I'll wait till someone's ridden the combination really well, and then I'll walk back to my stall. And then if I don't want to hear anything else, or usually I don't want to hear anything else, I'll play Candy Crush until it's time to get ready. And I know it sounds so stupid. It doesn't do anything for me mental-wise except for zone everything else out. So I don't want to think about the course anymore. I have my plan. So whether it's your words with friends person, I'll probably play with you. Scramble with friends, Angry Birds. I'm a Candy Crush person. So yeah, I like to play Candy Crush, and it sort of helps me de-stress, defocus, if you will, right before I go. Yeah, and then Randy. Oh, don't forget my Randy. You're such a brat. Yes, and Randy likes to walk. When I walk my courses, I do pretend I'm riding them. So I'll be like counting down my strides as I'm walking it. And he happened to watch me do this once and makes fun of me for the rest of my life. So whatever, it worked. So, so after my cross country, my post cross country routine, I wasn't quite sure if she meant for myself or for my horses. So I'll just quickly go over both. So for the horses, so for instance, at Rolex, then they basically live in ice and they walk, and they ice and they walk, and then we'll throw the magnetic blanket on and we'll equivibe, and then they ice again, and then they walk, and they ice and they walk kind of deal. So yeah, a lot of icing, a lot of walking. You know, we've got, because, you know, again, our sport is a drug-free sport. So we have to come up with different ways to keep the horses happy and sound and healthy. So, you know, I've got my soft ride boots, which are amazing. And they're powered by a generator, and it's saltwater therapy, and it gets the water super cold for the horses' legs. And Al would ice his fronts, and then we iced his hocks and his ankles behind, and then between, because you do that for 20 minutes. We'd walk him for a bit, for like half an hour, and then ice him again, and usually give him like a little break, and then do the same, repeat. While he's icing, usually we'll throw the magnetic blanket on twice for 30 minutes. And yeah, and so what I do is I usually, like, after cross country, I will eat whatever I want to. And this is not for horse trials. This is just, I'm talking about for Rolex right now, is I will probably not eat a big, like, celebration dinner, because we've got to wake up super early. So that night, usually they'll have like a pizza party in the stables. And because I'm usually back there with the girls icing and stuff, I will grab the pizza and we'll veg out on pizza and pop. And yeah, and because I have zero guilt, because I just rode around a 4-star and didn't eat all day because I was so nervous. So yeah, I'm eating whatever I want. Yeah, and I sleep very well that night. Yeah. So I hope that was the right answer. I don't know. I think that's what she meant. But last question before I open it up to you guys. My favorite event of the 3-day event. Well, why do we do this, you guys? Cross country, duh, right? Like, so if we wanted to do the show jumping, we could just be jumpers or hunters. If we wanted to do the dressage, we could just be pure dressage riders, or we could do both, like I do. Yeah, I love the cross country. I live for the cross country. I've always loved cross country since I was a little girl, and I feel it's like my most natural. I have the most control over it, which is so weird. But yeah, I feel most in control. In cross country, I feel like I have most control over my fate, and that if something goes wrong, it's 100,000,000% my fault on cross country. I feel like everything is based on how well I've done my homework and trained my horses at home, and I feel like it really, like, the horse's nerves can't come into play there like it can in dressage. Like, I just feel like it's just the true feeling between you and the horse, and it really highlights your relationship that you have with your horse and how well you know your horse, and you have options, and it's the only phase, and it's the only part of our sport, as opposed to any other sport, where it really does, like, you have options. So if you feel like your horse isn't going to answer this question correctly, you can choose a different route. Or in the middle of the direct route, you might have to choose to go a different route. It was amazing. Anybody want to go watch how that's done, watch any of the cross-country rides at Badminton this year. Amazing, amazing riding from everybody, who most people plan to go direct at the first water, at the main water, and had to change their minds in the middle of it. And it was just amazing, quick, spot-on thinking. And to me, that's the true spirit of eventing. And it goes to show you the relationships that are created with the horses and the riders, and how much trust the horse has in his rider to jump something that they can't see the ground on the other side. So yeah, those are the sort of questions combined. If I haven't answered your specific question, please DM me. Instagram only allows me to do this for an hour. So I have until 9 o'clock. And then I'm going to try to post this on my story afterwards, as I'll do every other time. And then like I said, any questions I don't get to, I will answer. I'm not going to stay up till midnight answering, but I will try to answer every day. So Southern Star asked me if I'll be in Southern Pines this year. I will. I'm planning on doing the first one. Questions I'm not sure if we're going to do the second one because I have a dressage show over that one. And we might go to Morven Park instead. But again, it just depends on how the horses are leading up till the first one. So we'll be at the first one. Karina, what is your question? What are things that you would do to get a horse more comfortable over cross country? Trail riding, hands down trail riding. So to get a horse comfortable, all of our horses are well, supposedly comfortable outside of the arena, not except Al. So all of our trot sets that we do and our conditioning are either on trails or out in the cross country field. Getting the horses out of an arena and comfortable with the elements, and me comfortable with navigating them through the elements. That's what cross-country riding is all about. It's not about whether your horse is scared to jump a chicaner or not. That's the training leading up to getting your horse in front of the leg to jump the chicaner, if that makes sense. Yes, we'll be at Waradaka this year. Plan on that event. Come compete in Area 4. I probably won't come compete in Area 4, but I'm teaching a clinic in Kansas City in April. And do you have any advice for juniors who want to make it big but don't have access to top horses? I definitely touched upon that earlier in today's chat. So I'll post this on my story, so please come and check that out. Do we come to Lochmoy? We like live at Lochmoy. Oh my God. By the end of the year, I'm like, my truck should drive itself to Maryland Horse Trials. So yes, we'll be at Maryland Horse Trials. Kansas City, everything is on my website, guys. So my website designer, Sam Silver, does an amazing job of keeping it updated. So what we do is we put either the farm name or the host's name of the clinic, so that you can contact them directly to see if there's spots. I'm not sure if it's a sold out clinic or not yet. I'm going to be there for 3 days. So I'm going to be there a whole day of dressage, a day of cross country, and a day of show jumping. So yeah, I do every level, literally walk, trot to advanced. So I love teaching. If I have to teach you literally how to ride a horse, I would love to do that. So, and it makes me become a better coach. So please challenge me. Let me see, what else do we have? Whose slippers in the background? Oh, Korea's asked. That's Sarah's slippers. Sarah's here for her working student trial. So yeah, Karina, that's who they are. And you'll meet her this weekend. Have you met Karina? Oh, then you've already met her, so never mind. Let's see here. Let me see. Does anybody else, tips for new eventers? That's a very vague question. My biggest tip for a new eventer is, I would say, cherish the failures even more than the wins, especially in eventing, because you're going to have, and I don't mean to sound pessimistic, I mean this in the best way possible. You're going to have a lot more failures than you will successes initially. And you're going to understand why it's so hard to do, you're going to have a better appreciation for the top horses and the top riders. But like I said, it's like when people get stuck on Candy Crush on a certain level and they can't get through it and they're like, oh, I quit. I love it. When I get stuck on a level, I stay there and I'm like binging on Candy Crush. This is terrible. I'm telling you guys this, but, Same thing with eventing. You're going to find like there's something at some point, your horse is going to have a ditch problem. Your horse is going to have a bank problem. Your horse is going to have some sort of issue that you got to work through. Because the great thing about eventing is that we have to be a little bit of a jack of all trades and a master of all, right? Because it's become so competitive. So you're going to find a loophole in something and you're going to have to work on that. And then when you fix that, you're going to have something else. But don't let that dissuade you from the overall goal. You know, keep your eyes on the prize, as I like to say. And like I said, I compare it to Candy Crush because, you know, so many people, I'm on level like nearly 3,000. I fly a lot, so that's my excuse. And I don't like to watch a lot of cross country before I go. But again, you don't let a hard level dissuade you from achieving the end, right? Like, if it gets hard, go back a level. Candy Crush can't really do that, but keep ticking away, and you will get there. You will get there. I would also say with the new tip, new eventer is find a good coach that's well versed in eventing, that understands how to create a good schedule for you and your horse, how to get you to where you're going. Find out what your goals are. If your goal is to go 4-star, then you need to ride with someone that understands how to get to a 4-star. If your goal right now is to go 1-star, then you need to ride with someone that's done 1-star. You know, very often I see people that are riding with trainers that are maybe not as well versed in eventing. Maybe they're hunter riders. A lot of times they don't want that. If a rider wants to progress and go a higher level, if the rider is ready to go a higher level, and the coach isn't quite ready to go that higher level, I see that often. So my thing would be to ride with someone who you have all the trust in and give them your trust, right? You have to give them your trust. Elmo, Ashker, it's too much. And really trust that person to give you a good schedule and ride with them as often as you're able. And if you're having a hard time affording lessons, see if you can work for them. If you can't do that, I am a huge advocate of watching lessons. Like whenever I'm at Bucks, when I'm not riding, and everybody that rides with me can attest to this, I'm watching. When I'm not riding, I'm watching, I'm setting jumps. I am running just like Bucks grooms and Bucks working students. I'm running alongside them to go set the jumps up because I learn so much through watching other people because I make the same mistakes as they do. So I cannot stress enough, you guys. If there's a clinic in your area and you don't have a horse to ride, watch it. Go watch it. I heard that Chris Burton was just over in Temecula at Holly's place teaching a clinic. If you are in that area and you did not go to watch that clinic, shame on you. Like, come on, people. That is a living legend who's an amazing rider, who brings up his own horses. Like, go and watch, because it is a glimpse into this person's training program on how they navigate issues. Someone's going to have an issue there, right? Someone's going to have a stop. Someone's going to have a fall somewhere, right? And you want to see how that coach, how that clinician helps that person navigate through that problem, right? I always think of a good clinician as not how many people that don't fall off. It's how many people who work through their problems, right? So when I teach my clinics, sometimes I'll have 4 people fall off, and I always rate my clinics on how harsh they were based on how many people fell off, but it's really not about that. It's really about how many people got back on and came out on top. And I'll tell you this, I will say it's 99.9%. There's a 0.1% of people that didn't get better, but they usually don't come back to the clinics. But that's neither here nor there. It is watching those people, how they navigate, through issues is how they're going to do it with their own horses. And that's, especially someone I respect like Berto, heck yeah, I'd be there. So, hi Lizzie. So let me see. There was one more question. Karina, how do I get a horse on the bit? I don't even know. I don't know how to get a horse on the bit sometimes. Let's see here. I'm going to go back. How long did it take you to get yourself and your horse to the point of being able to compete? I have a horse who's green. You know, it took me, I'm very blessed because my mom competed with me till she was 7 months pregnant at preliminary level. So I've come from a horsey mom, right? So I think I did my first show when I was like 7 or 6 or something, or event, my first recognized event. And you know, it took me a while. I mean, I was riding for a long time to prepare for it. But again, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter your level. You need to practice these things. Like I said, I posted that thing about better dressage scores. Please follow them on Instagram, you guys. And send in your dressage test, especially while most of us are stuck in the cold, right? Some of us, Liz, are not in Florida this year. And even if you are in Florida, I think it's freaking genius to film while your horse is going to be at his best because he's going to be at home. Have someone film you doing your dressage test and send it in. It doesn't matter about the ribbons. I mean, some people care about the ribbons, and I don't even care about the score, but just to get the constructive criticism back from the judges that they have, I think it's absolutely amazing. I know I'm going to take advantage of it, and I'm going to have, you know, young green horses doing it to Grand Prix horses doing it. And it's just about getting that constructive criticism back. And I completely forgot about what kind of question I was. Oh yeah, being able to compete. When are you ready to compete? And again, that's sort of, you know, a length. I don't put a time frame on it. You'll know. You know, like I always school a level higher than what I'm competing. So my novice horses usually school training level courses, training level questions at least. They should be able to do lengthening trots, stretchy circles. So that the event itself, nothing should be surprising. It's all review, right? What are tests when we're in school? Our tests, well, from stories I hear from Karina and Haley, there's some surprising things. But when I was in school, I sound like I'm old now. When I was in school, my exams were review. Treat your horse shows like exams, right? For your horses. Be a good teacher and treat your horse shows like exams. So practice. Cross country school, the later, like as often as you can, close to your horse show as possible. So that's fresh in your horse's mind. All my young horses school maybe a day prior to the event, right? Like they'll have schooled the week before then, but then make sure it's fresh in their mind, they school right before the event so that the water jump, the ditch, none of that is new to them, right? They're expecting it. What else? Yeah, that's about all I can say about that. Let me see here. I would love to come to Australia for a clinic. Hey, Brantley, I got your text, but I couldn't respond because I'm doing this kind of thing. I would love to come to Australia for a clinic. I'm doing my first international clinic next week. I leave for Costa Rica. Is it next week? Yes, next week. I'm so excited. Leo just told me that it's like sold out clinic. I am literally so excited. I've got somebody that's qualified for WEGs in endurance that's coming, that's going to be participating, which I am like starstruck myself. That's going to be amazing. I cannot wait to teach that person. I think he's riding an Arabian, and he's riding his WEG horse, his endurance horse in it. So how cool is that? I'm so excited. I will be Snapchatting a ton. I actually don't know if I need to call AT&T and notify them that I'm going to Costa Rica, but I will let you guys, believe me, I will lace you guys with the realness in Costa Rica, okay? Yes, I'm really excited about that. My mom is coming, and she's bringing Stella, her dog, so that'll be exciting for her. What else? And Bree, don't cry because I'm going to post this all on my story so that you can rewatch it all over again, because a lot of it you're going to not want to watch because I don't even know what I was saying in the beginning of it. Yes, if you're a hunter jumper, no, you will not be comfortable in one of my clinics. Will you learn something and will your horse improve? Yes. So I have a lot of hunters and jumpers come to my clinics, and they're completely I rock their worlds, but they leave so much better from it and they love it. So would love to teach you. Let's see here. Turquoise cross country. You know what? My mom's colors were turquoise and purple, so heck yeah. My colors, my very first colors, I have 45 seconds remaining, guys. But my very first cross country colors when I was a young girl were hot pink and black. I had everything hot pink. Like I had the clickety clack, the pedal bell boots. I had the hot pink and black vest. I have pictures to prove it. Yeah, so definitely live your life out loud on cross country. Go ham. Wear whatever colors you want to. The brighter, the better. I am America on cross country. Okay, so Team America, red, white, and blue. Confirmation for thoroughbreds. I want a nice round shoulder, short back, long neck, low set hocks. The biggest thing though is I want